Another edition of Defo on 5, Jeff DeForest. And of course, seems to be very calm, but yet at the same time, I can sense the tension with my partner here, Mr. Mike Lubitz, who is at the controls. And at the same time, I don't know what kind of anxiety medication you are taking right now because you seem extremely calm going into this. Are you resigned to the idea that the Heat are going to lose this series against the Denver Nuggets? What do you think? Because the rest of the country would be on board with you if that was the case, for the most part. Although I just saw something from our partners at the Believe Podcast Network saying that the Nuggets should be in absolutely dire fear of what the Heat might be able to do to them in this series. Mike Lubitz, how are you? Tonight is a night. It's finally here. It seems like we've been waiting a long time for this. It was only since last Monday.
Last Monday.
So it was a couple of days ago that the Heat were in a Game 7 against the Boston Celtics, a game the entire universe assumed that they were going to lose. Not only lose, but lose in blowout-type fashion. Odds makers had them once again as heavy underdogs, 7.5, 8.5 points posted on that game, and the Heat managed to get through that. Not only that, but bury the Celtics. I mean, literally, I do believe it's possible. Maybe figuratively, not literally. Pat Riley did spit on Red Auerbach's grave on his way out of town. What do you think? You think he stopped at the north end there to get a great meal? No, he just went right to the cemetery and said, "There you go, Red. Take that." And here's another one for Danny H. But this is supposed to be. I'm reading some articles again in my beloved New York Post, and they're talking about, hey, it's a coming out party for Nikola Jokic. The rest of the country is finally going to be aware of who this superstar is who won back-to-back MVPs, finished second in the MVP voting again this year behind Joel Embiid, which became kind of controversial because if you looked at the contribution of the two guys during the postseason, who would you rather have at this point as a postseason player? Jokic, of course. A triple-double machine. Yep. And then you combine that. The guy that's not really getting as much attention in this series as he probably should is Jamal Murray. I thought he was brilliant in the series against the Lakers. This was a guy who sat out all of last season with a torn ACL, so kind of dropped off that superstar evolving map and put himself right back on it with his performance so far in the postseason. Two teams that essentially are homegrown, where the front office ingenuity has actually been largely responsible for the composition of these two teams. And they've found a lot of talent in different ways, developed a lot of talent. Jokic, I didn't realize this, was so unregarded as a top-level player that he was like the 47th player taken in the 2014 draft.
He's a mid-second-round pick. He shouldn't have been anything. It's annoying. It's actually very annoying that he's as good as he is. Like he doesn't have athleticism, and he doesn't jump off a tape. So, he played overseas, so you didn't see him.
Yeah.
So I remember the summer league. My buddy watching, going, "Yeah, this guy, whatever, is pretty good." And I was like, "Who is this guy?" He's a second-round pick. Like, who's this guy? And
he's another guy who looks like a center you would have in a 40 and over league that probably hadn't played ball in 10 years. But then he comes back and you go, wow, man, you got some game, kid. Nice. And carries him. Most people have the Denver Nuggets easily winning the series. I don't know that means anything anymore because we've seen this. The networks obviously are thinking about hiding their sharp objects in the executives' offices because they don't know how the rest of the country is going to react. I mean, think about this. You had the possibility of a Lakers-Celtics series, and you end up with Denver and the Heat. Now, I'm not a big subscriber to that theory that, oh, my God, they're going to be jumping out of buildings, Rockefeller Center, because nobody's going to watch this thing. If you're a basketball fan, you're watching the finals, are you not?
Look, it's not baseball, okay, where small markets are a thing. The NBA, I get it, Oklahoma City and Cleveland feel like small markets, but not when you have Kevin Durant and LeBron James, right? Like Jokic, yeah, the lay fan doesn't know who he is, but Denver is a top 10-ish market, and Jokic is the best player in basketball. Miami is a top 10-ish market, and Butler has been second to only Jokic as playoff players. So, and the Heat have been to the NBA Finals twice in the last 4 years, conference finals 3 times in the last 4 years. They've been more successful than the Lakers. This idea that Boston hasn't won a title since 2008. Like Boston's been as competitive as the Heat the last 4 years, and the Heat have been and the Heat have been more competitive than Boston the last 20 years. So this idea that LA, Boston. This Eastern Conference Finals was TNT's highest rated, was their third highest rated game ever. Like the game 7. So the Heat can get plenty of ratings. Like this idea, like it's not the Sacramento Kings, and even the Sacramento Kings, if they had this team that they have would get like when you have compelling teams. There's no storylines. Yeah, there's two really good teams that are really hungry, that are really well coached, and that should make for a competitive series. You want to know what gets bad ratings? Domination. A sweep gets bad ratings. Lakers, Nuggets gets bad ratings. When a series goes 6 or 7, as the Celtics and the Heat just showed you, you can set records. So the only people saying that are Celtics fans and Northeastern media. The rest of the people aren't saying that. Like the Heat have shown they are a national brand. They've been winning and being in finals since 2006. No one's been winning at their rate in the entire league. So to say that they're not national, they're boring. I'm sorry, you have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
I'm looking at some different betting propositions, as you might imagine, for this game. And this one, I don't know that I fully understand this, but I would guess it's sort of self-explanatory. Excuse me. You have a proposition out there where you can bet one of the teams in the series and then lay a couple of games. So the Nuggets, you have to lay 2.5 games, which means what? They would have to win the series 4-1 for you to win that bet. 2.5 games, and that is the recommendation of another guy here that's been assigned to Barry America, Tanner McGrath, who suggests that you go ahead and take the Nuggets minus 2.5 games so that you can get them as a favorite in the series. Well, why don't you just bet the Nuggets in 5 at that point?
Yeah, why not?
You would get a much better price than laying 2.5. How else could it work? I mean, if it's 4-2, you lose the bet.
Yeah,
So the only I would have to be either a sweep. Oh, okay, you get both of those propositions then. You get the Nuggets in a sweep. This guy's suggesting that your money is better off being laid out at plus 120 on the Nuggets to either sweep
or win in
or
5.
lose one game in the series.
Yeah, I mean, look, the professor thinks the Heat and he's a Heat fan, thinks the Nuggets are going to win in 5.
That seems like that was the first number that popped into my head watching the two teams in the postseason so far, and yet we haven't seen them play each other, which is another consideration that you always have to take a look at. During the regular season, their games were close. Those regular season games were a long time ago. I don't believe the Heat are the same team. The other factor that's involved here is possibility of ring rust with the Nuggets. Is it more beneficial? That's always a debate. Well, would you rather rest for 9 days or be right out there and come back after a Tuesday night game 7, a tough one? Everybody was schwitzing. A couple of guys got hurt. I don't know how I feel about that one. We've seen it work both ways, where the team that had all the time off ended up playing a very flat game in game number 1. The Heat have been dynamite in game number 1s so far. They've won all 3 of their series game 1s, and all 3 obviously on the road, which is pretty exceptional. And they seem to have that kind of mentality. I don't know. I keep wondering if they have enough firepower to back up all these Jimmy Butler boisterous claims that, oh, yeah, well, we're going to go in there and win it, which is great. I mean, obviously, you don't want to find that your superstar feels they're going to lose the series. But I don't know that they can be just summarily discounted. Do you in this game 1 tonight? This is another one, Lubie, where in reality you can have all the jabbering about it, you can have all the debates, which I don't know that you'll be seeing Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless debating these things very much longer, because it seems like they hate each other now.
Yeah, that lasted a lot longer than I thought it would, to be brutally honest. It won't be lasting till much longer than the finals. So we'll see.
They've already worked out a buyout. I guess Shannon Sharp, who I don't know. What does he do on his own after this?
He has a podcast that is decent.
I guess it's very successful. Yeah.
It's video. He gets big time people. It's him sitting down in a chair talking like we see every celebrity now,
right,
doing a job that I don't understand why they do, because they have their own jobs.
Like us, yeah. We do it because we need to, yeah.
Yeah.
Desperation is the mother of invention.
Celebrities took over broadcasting because they didn't have enough already, which I don't get. It's like, I understand how easy this is, believe me, but you don't need it. Kevin Hart doesn't need a podcast, and half of Hollywood doesn't need a podcast.
But if you're making millions of dollars on it, why not, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if all you have to do is wake up, turn on some lights, and sit in a chair and you can make a couple of million extra dollars. Whoever has enough money where they just say,
Well,
"Look, I don't need this job."
I see
Plus,
why.
it's always good. I mean, you can transition into your own thing, which is a lot better. Look at that Pat McAfee deal.
That's what I was gonna say. Between McAfee, you're seeing a lot of people say, "Oh, I don't need to work for some big conglomerate and talk about the stupidest things." And because I look, my the dream is always to be national and do these shows. I watch these shows and I wonder, like, if I could do these shows that these people do, where they literally talk about the same 5 topics every single day, no matter what time of year. And
Who's better, LeBron or Michael?
like Stephen A. Look, whatever he's become, the opinions he's coming up with now, there's no way he believes it. Like, there's no way you watch Jaylen Brown and Jimmy Butler play and say a healthy Jimmy Butler is not better than Jaylen. Jaylen Brown's a good player. Jaylen Brown has put himself in that top 15, top 20 spot. He's a top, maybe a third team All NBA. They put him second team because he's on the Celtics, but maybe third team. He's an all-star. Jaylen Brown's not better than Jimmy Butler. He's not. No one thinks that. And for Stephen
we saw evidence of that. I mean,
no,
when they needed Jaylen Brown to, take the proverbial step forward and step up when it was clear that Tatum was not himself in Game 7, he wasn't able to do it.
He was horrendous. And Jimmy Butler, who's definitely not himself, played 2 really good fourth quarters and did just enough to help his team win. Like, but again, when you're on these shows, you have to have these weird opinions, and it's like I'm all about money and making a real living doing this, and
yeah.
But
that would help, making a real living doing
shows, this. Yeah, but some of these shows that they have these people doing, and it's like, I don't know.
The sports debate shows and ESPN's level of I don't know. Are they measuring the intellect of the average sports fan and figuring it's right there with the people that are north of Palm Beach in the state of Florida? I mean, they can make a big deal about Ron DeSantis won by 20 points as governor in his reelection run. Which I mean, and had you voted for Ron DeSantis, even if you thought that he was brilliant, the guy's not around anymore. I mean, you couldn't have a more useless figure as the governor of Florida.
And it's probably better, actually. He seems to not do good things for us when he's here. It might be good.
Yeah.
Let him go.
Let him go do something else. I'm happy when he's out of the state. I feel like the state is in much better, circumstances. There's no doubt about that. And what a crazy man he's coming off as. I mean, it's incredible. The only thing that makes him look even reasonably, vote worthy would be the fact that the alternative is Donald Trump. If you're a Republican, so you may as well have this guy that literally is handing out copies of Mein Kampf.
Yes.
If it's possible that he's right. That's ridiculous. Predicting, they're going to sweep the Heat, which they might. I don't know. I can't see the Heat losing 4 games. See back to each other tonight. I mean, this is what I'm really looking forward to. Tonight's the night, Lubie, that we find out, if any of this conversation was worth action. Is it the weather that's bugging us here today, Lubie? What do you think?
I don't know. Your internet's being weird. I don't know.
Big time connection issues here.
I don't know what's going on with your internet. So anyways, I feel lucky and blessed in a sense to have been able to just give my own opinion and not have to juice it up. So I don't know how those people do it. Look, the Denver is the better team. I've said it all playoffs before anyone else was saying it. People are sleeping on the team that the only reason they haven't won is because they were hurt and they're finally healthy. So they're the best team in basketball. We've seen that throughout the playoffs. They've been the most consistent team in basketball, and they have the best player in basketball. And the thing that sucks is they're very much like the Heat. They don't talk shit. They're very humble. They're very focused. They're coached really well. They don't underestimate anyone. They were up 3-0, and LeBron was playing well. And they were beating the Lakers. And all Jokic would say is LeBron's great. You can't forget who he is. He's one of the greatest. It was like they're not going to do the stuff the Celtics, the Bucks. Like, whether you say the Celtics or Bucks took the Heat seriously, they didn't play like the stuff they were saying was not. Listen to what the Celtics and Bucks said, and listen to what the Nuggets are saying. Like the Nugget, literally Jamal Murray, a young dude who you would think he's a Kentucky cat. They're like, yeah, they have a lot of undrafted. He's like, yeah, and those undrafteds can play. Those undrafteds are players. Those undrafteds that you keep calling undrafted aren't undrafted to us. It's like, oh shit.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, I guess Murray was like a mid first round pick. No, he was high, a
He was
seventh
six
pick or
overall.
something.
He was six overall.
Yeah.
Seven,
I think
seven,
he might have been number seven.
seven, six overall.
Jokic, I mean, think about that. Late second round pick,
Yes.
mid second round pick in 2014. I mean, that's a long time ago.
Yep.
Would have easily been forgotten. I mean, you were more likely to recall the career of Hawthorne Wingo than a guy that was taken 47th in the 2014 draft or 47th. And sure enough, this guy is, like you said, a humble superstar, does not appear to fit the role. They're always going to be overshadowed in the West, in spite of the fact that they're 12-3 in the postseason, 8-0 at home in the postseason, 42-7 at home. Listen to me, Mr. Stat. I sound like Hubie Brown here. Holy Bill James. And yet, I mean, they're always overshadowed in the West by Golden State and the Lakers. No matter what situation or circumstances those two teams are operating under and what kind of results they're producing, Denver could be a 70-win team, and people still would be, more inclined to know more about the Lakers and the Golden State Warriors and maybe the Clippers to a lesser extent, but only slightly lesser. Than they would be about the Denver Nuggets and the kind of team that they put out there. So very exciting. This also would be unprecedented. Never has it happened before, Luby. Situation has occurred 8 previous times where the two teams in the winter sports, hockey and basketball, in the same city, two
Oh,
pro
really?
teams. It's happened 8 other times where they've both been in the final round
Oh, I didn't know that.
of the Stanley Cup and Larry O'Brien. But never has it happened that both teams have won.
Has either one? Because again, I'm
Yes. Either has won
I just want
in
one
those
of them to win.
circumstances. Yeah.
I'm very happy. Look, and that's why I'm calm because neither I'm back as long as he got past it.
If we get one, that'll be enough for me.
Once
Right?
you got up 3 on the Celtics, I couldn't see them losing that, especially those fucking scumbag fans, because they're actually still talking shit after losing. So I couldn't even imagine them actually completing that.
Celtics were an embarrassment to lose that game 7 like that. An
Once they
embarrassment.
did finish that series, and I agree with you. I hate saying this expression because again, you should always want to win. I mean, they shouldn't be there. So, like, if either wins, I'll be stoked. And that's the other thing is, it sucks. I can't hate the Nuggets. They not only are the team I thought would be here, they're not only the team I thought would win it all. They're saying all the goddamn right things, and their coach is like a mirror image of Spo. Like,
yes,
he's not a jerk. He's not
classy but tough.
So it's like, I want to win, and when the series is on, believe me, I'll talk shit. But if like the Nuggets win, I can't be mad. Like if the Celtics or the Lakers won, it's like, ugh. Like
I would have been, obviously because we have a local interest in the team, and it's great to be talking about a team here that everybody that listens or for the most part views our show, has pretty good knowledge about and maybe a rooting interest in. I have to, obviously root for the Heat here for the local angle, and then on top of that, my son's plus 1,600 is a brilliant move. Because I mean, you were looking at that number. I remember we were talking about it, and he said, "What do you think, man? Can you believe the Heat are 16-1 to win the championship?" That's when there were only 4 teams left in the chase.
Yeah.
So you're thinking, yeah, why not, right? I mean, you were right about the Celtics; they weren't all that. The Denver Nuggets, though, to me, as a guy that loves basketball, played basketball, I mean, I couldn't wait to get out there and play in any game that I could get involved in. Didn't matter whether it was in the park against little kids, in a gym against real players. Always loved playing basketball, but they play the game the way that you would like to see it being played. In a modern day version, especially where I mean, the reliance on the 3-point chuck, what we saw what it did to the Boston Celtics. I mean. Once again, I think it boils down to this, Lubie. He who makes shots win game.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'm going to go get some General Chow's chicken and gargle it down tonight as I'm watching the game and hope that the Heat can make it. I mean, the odds of them winning 4 straight series openers, all on the road in the postseason against supposedly escalating level of talent in terms of excellence. That seems a little bit prohibitive, but well, we'll see what happens tonight. All right, should be a lot of fun. I hope the Heat Nation is tweaked up there on 5 Reasons Sports Network. We're going to get into it a little bit more. We'll also have the Hialeah Park Trivia Challenge on the Defo Show. So nice little warm up here. Tune up for the day, and we'll be with you 7 o'clock on South Florida Live. You can catch that every day, 7 to 9, the live version, or just punch it up anytime. As this is the current age of the media, right? Where a guy like Pat McAfee can go on the air with a couple of scrubs, curse a lot, and all of a sudden ESPN says, even though we're firing people right and left, here's like $20 million a
Yeah,
year.
exactly.
How come Max Kellerman's name is always the one that comes up as the guy that might lose out? But I didn't realize Max was making $5 million a year for doing this crap.
Well, he's on
That's
7 shows, so I mean,
still,
Greenberg.
I mean, it's a lot of money for a guy that expresses opinions. He's all right. I mean, decent
Kellerman's
guy.
okay, I guess. I mean,
But
look, of those three, there's only three people that are always on. It's Smith, Greenberg, and Kellerman. Of those three, Kellerman's the only one that's sane to me. Greenberg has no idea what the fuck he's saying.
yeah,
And Smith has just totally become a caricature of himself. At least Kellerman tries to still be sort of sane.
it's a useless endeavor in today's sports media, that's for sure. All right, we'll continue to try to figure out what we need to do to make it to that level of making like 20 million a year. That would be nice. Even one would be cool. And we'll see you later. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck to the Heat tonight, and we'll finally have some kind of foundation for all of this conversation to continue after tonight's game. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the next edition of Defo on Fire.